How you guys doing? Pretty good? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do to remember all this stuff? So, what we're trying to do now is practice C Messiaen mode. Over a G7. I think that's supposed to work. Yeah. So if we're going from D minor to that C Messiaen mode. Back to C. German. Hi, master. I used to be master. Now I'm servant again. Ever since I found Holdsworth and Redstein and this thing, I am back to square one. I need to earn that title now. It's all gonna be hard work. Because I can't see this shit at all. It's weird. I can kind of see it when I'm not in context and in time, but okay, let's stay in position. That's going to be the way to do it. So, over the G7, we're applying A flat, Messiaen mode 3. So that means A flat, B flat, B, C, D, E flat, E, F sharp, G. Let's come up with a pattern. Starting with the no G. If we do this. That's all in. I like that. Good job. Here's our pattern. All right, so hello, really love your videos. Thanks for sharing, especially the Holdsworth ideas. Hey man, I'm in your exact same boat. So we have a 2-5-1 in C. D minor, we're gonna just play D Dorian. Actually, to make it interesting, let's play that Holdsworth Dorian. So it's Dorian with flat 2 and flat 5. So we have an E flat and an A flat. And then we're switching to Messiaen mode 3. And then let's resolve to C major. So here's our progression. Is this like C major? It's C major add flat 3, flat 6. But if we're thinking about it from the oh, are you talking about Messiaen? Messiaen's nothing like the C major. But on the D minor, if we just take C major and add flat 5 and flat 9, or add flat 3 and flat 6, and think about it from the perspective of D, then it's like D with a flat 9 and a flat 5, like D Dorian. But I'm adding the flat 5 and the flat 9. Now on the G, I'm thinking A flat Messiaen, which is resolving to C. So, how would you use Dorian flat 2? Dorian flat 2 is like the second mode of melodic minor. It's actually a nice sound, and just in a lot of minor situations, it's like very fusiony. Like if I just have a C minor and I'm playing B flat melodic minor on it, right? That's like very Scott Henderson-y. It's like a little bit out. Just think a whole step down melodic minor on a minor chord. Because Alan apparently was not as familiar with music theory, at least not in the traditional sense, how would he have thought of these chords and melodic lines? He was extremely familiar with music theory. He just had his own symbols for things. It's like that's a misconception that he wasn't familiar. He didn't know bebop licks, but he wasn't interested in playing bebop licks. But he was extremely familiar with this stuff. So what we're trying to find out is exactly this: how to get as familiar to where it flows out. So that just taking this one position of this mode 3, so which again, C Messiaen mode 3 is this weird scale, right? You can think about it just as whole step, half step starting from C, moving in major thirds. And then it has like these modes that are just as symmetric, but we're just kind of picking notes out of it. Kind of like a lick or a pattern through it. So if I have like just a G7 and I play that on it, that's kind of like my vocabulary there on this chord. So D minor, like imagine like a... Let's see, are you using this scale added to the already diatonic modes in C? It's kind of like a different option, right? But it's not that scale, unlike the other 3 9-note scales that Holdsworth uses, is not, there's no major scale in it. So it's, you have to study it sort of independently because it's a symmetric scale, kind of like diminished, it's just different. So yeah. But I got you under my skin. I got you deep in the heart of me. You see how it's a natural fit for those situations. So if you're trying to apply it to A7, it's like B flat Messiaen, which is like D. So same kind of idea, a whole step up, obviously. I swear there was a time where I didn't suck at guitar, and like before I learned all this stuff, I play all right notes and shit. I think in terms of playing a specific mode over a chord closest to the key we are in, but I struggle to harmonize a melody. Could you suggest a framework to harmonize a melody on guitar? Yeah, so, well, this is a sidestep for what we're talking about. I mean, the Barry Harris thing is nice because, like if you're just dealing with really diatonic melodies, then basically what you have to think about, it's really simple. Like just if the melody note in the key is just the 1, 3, 5, or 6, then you put an inversion of the 6th chord. And if it's any other thing, meaning like the 2, 4, flat 6, or 7th, then you use a diminished chord. So you look at a melody like Like if you're in C, let's say, like let's see. So what was that, right? That was like fifth, sixth, fifth, root, 7. So you just use sort of like a A minor, inversions of A minor to harmonize these two. If I just take it an octave up, then I have, and then maybe like right, do 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 be do. Right, so that's like 2-1. Sorry. Right, so it's like what would it be? Right, so you don't have to think about anything. You can just move, the shapes around and just be locked into what the melody note is if you train yourself that way. Is the scale in just for the curious book is symmetrical? Yes, it's that scale. So that's Messiaen mode 3. Just for the bi-curious. So, again, working on that application though. So, what are we talking about? Yeah, that guy. Yeah. So, putting it in that jazz context. So hard to see. So every time I'm getting to that G, I'm trying to play C, Messiaen mode 3. 1, 2, 3. Has a lot of 4 notes in a row over the whole neck. Seems to add all the altered notes in 7th chord minors. Yeah, it's very bizarre. You got right. If you're thinking about it from the perspective of C, it's root 2, flat 3, 3, flat 5, 5, flat 6, and then major, flat 7, major 7, root. But if you're thinking about it from the perspective of G, you got flat 2, sharp 2, 3, right? You got a B, you got a B flat. Oh, sorry, B. You got C. So that's a 4th, 5th, flat 6, 6, and then you don't have an F, so you have a major 7. No dominant 7, but we're playing it on a G7. Why would that even work? More questions to Brett, I guess. Because Alan just needs the triad. That's what Brett would say. He's just thinking if the triad is in, then it's in. Which is weird, because by that logic, you would have, like, altered wouldn't fit a dominant chord because you don't have a 5th. Another question for Brett. Okay. So if I just take a pattern like for all those Messiaen notes. truth is, why can't I play Messiaen, like G Messiaen mode 3? That seems like it will fit better, right? If I questions for Brett. That seems like a better fit. I don't know. Hey Carlos, how you doing? But yeah, I'm just getting more confused, honestly. Ever since this thing started, it's not been like a process of clearing things up. It's just been a process of like, what is going on? I don't know anything. But it's good. It's like, it's like that's the natural state of learning, being in the unknown. I wrote a Messiaen mode 3 thing in E. That's like a little riff, and then it has like some chords that go. That's almost 3. I don't know. I think that's pretty badass, honestly. I'm kind of proud of myself. I think that might turn into a Marvin song. Because I was like, when I was first digging through this, I'm like, how am I ever going to use it? And then I was like, I would never think to omit like A from a minor tune in E, unless I was following some sort of twisted system like this, you know? So it's more like about the things you take out. And it sounds fucking evil, right? Like the devil is speaking. Okay, let's map it out. 2 notes per string, 1 note per string. 2 notes per string, 1 note per string. If I start from A flat, like A flat, that's the end note 3. Just take 2 notes, like this, even close. I got those. I got those. Beautiful. That's all in. Do that. Sounds pretty different. Anything you have transposes in major thirds. It's pretty easy technically, right? 'Cause that's all in. God, it's so out there. People in this coffee shop enjoy this. I'm gonna go with a yes, definitely. Okay. Say you added a flat 5 to Dorian, which would be sharp 4 to the home chord. Yep. Then could you use whole tone scale, say in the key of C, as it would now have the sharp 5 too, which would make the Aeolian also harmonic minor. Let's see. So if you add this note, you couldn't use, I mean, you could use, what do you mean you could? You could do whatever you want. It just sounds different, you know. But whole tone wouldn't be a subset of it because you wouldn't have an F sharp. To have a whole tone, you would need to, and also you wouldn't have a B flat, right? To play C whole tone, just because you have the sharp, you would have a C augmented triad, and you would have A harmonic minor, right? That's the scale you're describing. That 8-note scale has a name. It's called the bebop scale, right? C major bebop scale is just a major scale with a flat 6, or if you think about it from Dorian to Dorian with a flat 5. And then if you look at the subsets created from adding that note, you have C major, you have C harmonic major, you have A harmonic minor, just as a result of adding that note. So those are all now like drop scales of that 8-note scale. But you would have to add more notes to have whole tone in there because you don't have an F sharp, you don't have a B flat. If you add E flat to the equation, E7 or Spanish Phrygian. Yeah, so that's the fifth mode of A harmonic minor. So that of course would be there. If you add E flat to that equation, which is the first Holdsworth scale, major, add flat 3, flat 6, um, then now you also have C melodic minor, C harmonic minor, uh, A Hungarian minor, and that's it. Oh, sorry, and C augmented. So now, and those are all the subset, and the harmonies that emerge from it, are also like subsets of that scale. So there's that. All right, I'm gonna have to play some music just so I don't forget how. It's not the pale moon that excites me, that thrills and delights me. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. It isn't your sweet conversation that brings this sensation. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. When you're in my arms and I feel you so close to me, my wildest dreams come true. Don't need no pale lights to excite me. If you'll only grant me the right to hold you ever so tight, then deep in the night feel the nearness of you. Need no pale lights to enchant me. If you only grant me the right to hold you ever so tight, and deep in the night feel the nearness of you. scale really have a place in that American songbook thing as much as you want to cram them in. Fly me to the moon and let me swing among the stars. Let me know what spring is like on Jupiter or Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I care for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Fly me to the moon and let me swing among the stars. Let me know what spring is like on Jupiter or Mars. In other words, take my hand. In other words, darling, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me swing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Yeah, I can't see any of this stuff in time to put it in, nor do I think it would fit. It's very strange. Another question for Brett, I guess. I honestly started the Holdsworth thing just to make content. I thought it would be high quality content, and I got sucked in for real. Like, I feel like I have a guitar teacher now. It's very bizarre. You guys still hanging out? All right, I'm refreshed. We can talk a little more now. Okay, so a song like that. Theoretically, it has the first two chords in it if I play that first Holdsworth scale. Yeah, it's just moving. Something I never do is play harmonic major on that E7, but why not? It's just like altered. Something that's interesting, play Master of Puppets. can, but I won't. A harmonic minor and C harmonic major share the same diminished 7 chord. The only difference between them is that A harmonic minor has an E, and right, and then is that the only difference? Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so they both have G sharp. One just has a G and one has an A. So A harmonic minor has an A, and C harmonic major has basically G and A flat. So they're almost the same. One note difference. It's actually interesting. It's more inside in a way to play that C harmonic major on the E, E7 in that song. How did I never think about that? So that'll be F harmonic major? The A7? That's crazy. So if you play C harmonic major, you can play it on the first 2 chords of all of them. This is all over my head, so excuse the basic question. What makes this stuff so hard? Not knowing it. It's the same stuff. It's actually not harder than anything else. It's just when you see me play the other stuff, I've already been through it. You know what I mean? So it's like, for you, it's all gonna be just as hard. So if you start from scratch learning the major scale or melodic minor is hard because you don't know what to do, you don't know where to press, you don't know what's in it. So, but I think but every time you learn something new, you start from scratch if you really want to learn it. And it's not really from scratch because you have your strategies in place for learning things, and you can see likeness between things you know deeply and this stuff. But you gotta be willing to to be a beginner again every time you integrate a new piece of information, a new piece of the puzzle. So it's not harder, you're just seeing me go through the actual process of learning something for real, you know. So there's a long period of time where you just don't see it on your instrument, and it's very frustrating. But eventually you start seeing it, you know, with anything you do. So it's hard because there are a lot of notes, and like those 9-note scales present like a unique challenge in the sense that there are more notes than you're used to dealing with if you've learned your diatonic scales. If you haven't, it's all hard. Master. That's my Master of Puppets. Perfect. to really swing. Um, I like modal playing and find the Holdsworthian idea of using Dorian as home bass, so I can just add flat 2 and flat 5. Yeah, so it's not meant in that way. It's not like minorizing is about visualizing the scale, because you have in your mind to call something home base. Playing modally, meaning seeing one of the points in the scale as a pedal point where you hear everything in relation to. So don't get confused to think that this is a tool to just kind of like use over a D note and apply that scale, right? Apply all the points in that scale could be the bass note. But you have, at the end of the day, it's like you have to see it somehow. So just to be able to measure intervals, you have to attach it to something. I think Dorian's a solid choice because we tend to know that better. So it makes seeing some shapes a little bit easier. But very quickly, you want to get to a place where you're doing exercisey things. Less the technical challenge, more intellectual in the sense of getting it under your fingers. Oh, 100%. I mean, honestly, like I have a big advantage over, I do it like with Nick, my videographer, all the time, and I have chops, and Nick has way less chops, and I see how challenging it is, because, for me, playing legato or something like that, not to say that I'm Holdsworth, but I know how I do it. You know what I mean? So it's more like just finding notes that fit with my technique. I'm not so interested in relearning the instrument technically. I can play pretty fast in a way that, and I feel like I have a sound when I play electric guitar. I know how to get what I consider my sound out of it. I'm really not interested in going the Holdsworth route technically or sonically more than I do. Because it's like these people. He was a huge influence on me. In high school, I listened to a lot of him, and up till college. And I don't know, man. It's I don't have the complex around it that people do, because we toured opening for him for a month. He was in our van for an entire month, and he liked our band. And I would look at the side of the stage. We played these theaters, and I'd see him standing there, listening. We toured with a lot of people that didn't give a shit about our music, but he really was into our music. And I'd solo and see Alan Holdsworth there, So I never was play more that never. I always felt it's cool. He likes it, I don't, and he really doesn't like people that imitate him. So I never had the temptation, of going that direction sonically, but now with the notes, it's just, I never considered it because he wouldn't talk about it. Let's see. I wrote that in a way that sounds like a contradiction, but I get what you're saying. I mean, I think the stuff, it's so broad and there's so many options that if you don't have a strong aesthetic compass, if you don't know what you're trying to do with music, it will suck you right in. It will, you know what I mean? It's just these notes, these scales will just they'll suck you right into this sonic, very dissonant landscape. And then Holdsworth will be your only beacon, any sense of, because it's you have to have a lot of balls to write music and trust yourself to navigate this material into something you like. And it's very tempting to just find these things that are these Holdsworthian kind of motions in it. which are cool. They're all there, but you know, there's other stuff there too. Uh, does he have a tendency to do modal modulations but keep them diatonic, or mix them like harmonic minor with say mixolydian from other keys depending on the chord behind it? I'm not that well versed to know. I mean, what Brett says is that, like, you know, he plays inside the chords. He plays the chords when he's soloing are moving sort of slowly, like 1 to 2 bars, and then when they linger on longer, he modulates through a few options on one thing. But his tunes are constantly modulating. Not everything is from one of these scales, right? And he'll definitely play different drop scales from the big scale. So like you have to, because it doesn't sound right. Like let's say I'm trying to come up with a progression from, let's say, that first one, that's C major at flat 3 flat 6. So here's my first chord, C major 7 sharp 5, and then I'm going to go to, let's say, E minor major 7 to F minor major 7, and then I'm going to go to D minor 7 flat 5, something like that. So that's if I just apply the scale mindlessly, I'm gonna hit all sorts of weird shit on it. So you gotta ask yourself, okay, so that first chord, maybe C augmented is a great option there. That's inside the scale, it's a subset, right, for coming up with melodies. Then on the second chord, E minor major 7. Okay, well, what in this scale could be like a good option for that sound, right? Maybe, I don't know, maybe just like an E Phrygian. Maybe like that E Neapolitan, which is like Phrygian with a 7. So that's like your subset. Again, you can see the big thing when you're blasting runs. You can just use the scale, but when you're trying to play melodically, like on the first chord, F minor major 7. What do you want to play there, right? It's like that might be C harmonic minor for you. Maybe just that, actually C harmonic major would be the option. And then the D minor 7 flat 5, maybe that's C harmonic minor, right? So you can just kind of choose these scales that are all in the scale to play on changes. So that's kind of like staying in one tonality. Holdsworth is like Hegel going down that path. There's always a risk of never coming back. Look at you. Fucking intellectuals hanging out on the field. Say a minor 7 sharp 5 chord could be Aeolian or Phrygian, but say B minor 7 sharp 5, that's D major or G major at the same time. Yeah, you know, you gotta make aesthetic choices. I think that's the point. You gotta look at the palette of notes, listen to the chord and voicing it's played on, be like, that note doesn't sound like it's home, right? Might be cool in passing. And that's sort of like the Holdsworth thing. If you, as I understand it at this point, it's like you have notes that are in jazz would be considered passing tones, and then you have chords that are just outside that you just wouldn't touch. And then it's all about how to treat the passing tones that are still inside the harmonic subset, right? So, like, when you play almost any voicing inside like that major flat 3 flat 6, it will like certain notes from that 9-note scale and not like a few others. So it's about creating a subset inside that thing that sounds like home when you're playing slow and melodic, and using the whole thing to blast through when you're playing runs, right? That's at least my mentality on it at the moment. Might evolve. I can definitely see that studying augmented, the 6-note scale augmented, and the 7-note scale Hungarian minor those are not small things to accomplish. Those are big things. The other thing from that book, just for the curious, if you look at his dominant scale, meaning like, G mixolydian with a 7 and a flat 3. So like if you're playing a C major scale and you add F sharp and B flat, right? So you have this scale. That has 2 other 7-note scales that are super handy for the Holdsworth thing. One of them is Ionian sharp 9, and the other one's Lydian sharp 9. Mixolydian sharp 9. Where you have those 3 half steps. You have a lot of these shapes hiding in there that are super useful. But I haven't done my proper homework with those yet, so it's all theoretical.